Welcome to the morning after Week 13 as we head into the playoffs of the CFFL. Your host here, bringing you the week that was and looking ahead to the playoffs. So we'll get right into the week that was, taking a look at the South Division and taking a look at the Gargoyles and the Team LBM. Gargoyles came out with a victory at 68 to 44.5. Gargoyles needed in Rogers to entrust we lose, and they did. This is the sixth straight loss for In Rogers We Trust. A team that at one point was looking like the second best team in the league ends up 5-8 and out of the playoffs as they fall to the Bruisers. Last year's champs will miss out on the playoffs, but they do play spoiler to In Rogers We Trust, 74.5 to 52. The Chet's Garbage Men came through and got their win and in by beating the Cardinals 82 to 59. Cardinals still locked into the 2 seed. Garbage Men will move into the number 5 seed. Price is Right was going for a record, but they did not get it as to tie the record for 11 wins in a season. The Badgers took them down 81 to 70. The Badgers needed a win to get in, and they do with that big victory. They move into the 6th seed. The matchup for the number 4 seed, the Horn Dogs took down the Dingoes 82.5 to 60.5. It was the third loss in a row for the Dingoes. Last year they ended the year 1-5, so Dingoes aren't able to close out a season very well as they have faltered down the stretch in the last 2 years after making the playoffs previously in 2014. And the Bucks take down the Tices 83.5 to 58. The Tices still had an outside shot at the playoffs, but those were dashed by a loss and not outscoring the Garbage Men by 30 points. So that is the week that was in the CFFL. Now we can look ahead into what is coming up. First of all, for those teams that did not make the playoffs, there's the consolation round. And those are seen here. Previous winners, we had Brand's Bullets, Bernie's Bruisers, Mike Smaller's the Kongs, the Dingoes, Team LBM, Gargoyles in back-to-back years, and the Badgers, who won it last year. Maybe restarting the tradition of the teams that win the consolation round and Jim Krzewina and the Jim Krzewina Consolation Memorial Belt. Make the playoffs the following year. So we'll see if that holds true in future years, as the Badgers did sneak in this year. So we take a look now at what do we got here. Previewing the playoffs is up next. The 2 teams with the bye, the Cardinals, who have been 25-10 in the playoffs in their history and an 8-time champion. Strengths, Drew Brees, who is the number 1 quarterback in fantasy this year. Beckham is the number 3 receiver. My kicker and defense, they're both number 1 in fantasy this year. Weaknesses, my receivers are pretty touchdown dependent. Eifert and Moncrief, although do score a lot of touchdowns, they don't always get a lot of yards, so that could be problematic if they don't score. The Price is Right, this year's best team, hands down. 2-1 in the playoffs in their 1 year. Last year's runner-up as they fell to the Bruisers in the Super Bowl. Strengths, the running backs, Melvin Gordon and David Johnson are the 3rd and number 1 receivers or running backs respectively in the league. Mike Evans is the 2nd receiver in fantasy. Pretty strong team. Michael Thomas, Rob Kelly's got some upside as a flex. Sammy Watkins is a number 3 receiver if he stays healthy. Weakness though for him is Carson Palmer, who is the 20th best quarterback in the league and not a real strong week-to-week option. Gargoyles will take on the Badgers in one of the games this week. Also with the previous one, Team Price is Right will play the lowest seed in the next round, and the Cardinals will play the higher seed remaining. Also remember that due to the vote that this year, the higher seeded team will get a half-point home field advantage as in the past, except in the Super Bowl where it will be bench points if it is a tie. And if that's still a tie, then it does go to the home field team getting the win. Next up, like I said, the Gargoyles will take on the Badgers. Gargoyles are 0-5 in the playoffs, still looking for that first playoff victory. Strengths, they have 2 top 10 receivers in Devontae Adams and T.Y. Hilton, and also 2 top 5 quarterbacks. Not that he can play both of them, but he does have options. Weaknesses, his best running back is only the 18th best in all of fantasy, and Lamar Miller, who was quite a disappointment this year. Badgers, 2-1. They've made the playoffs twice, and they were the winner in 2012. Strengths, Tom Brady, 3 top 15 running backs in Carlos Hyde, Frank Gore, and Le'Veon Bell. Weaknesses, no receivers in the top 20. In the other matchup, we have the Horn Dogs, who are 7-6 this year and also 7-6 in the playoffs. Champions in 2007 and 2014. They also have 3 top 15 running backs in Jeremy Hill, Latavius Murray, and LeGarrette Blount, and 2 top 5 receivers in Jordy Nelson, which was surprising to see, and Julio Jones. I didn't think he had that good a year. Jordy Nelson, that is, fantasy-wise. Weaknesses, his quarterback is only the 15th best in all of fantasy, and that's Eli Manning. Chet's Garbage Men, they are 4-6 in the playoffs. They were the runner-up in 2011 and 2013. Strengths, very good running back or receivers. Julian Edelman, Antonio Brown, Amari Cooper, even to a lesser extent, Rashard Matthews and Delaney Walker. Andrew Luck, who can have a huge day anytime, and also Jay Ajayi, who's calmed down after the huge start, but still better than average option at running back. Weaknesses, though, running back 2 and with Rashad Jennings, although he's been playing better lately, and then his defense is not very highly rated. Finally, we'll take a look at the records that occurred this year. Team Price is Right, with 70 points this week, did set the record for most points per week. Post Flex, breaking the record I had last year, he won $60 for having the most points in the league. The high points win leader is the Dingos with 3, so he did win $15. Myself and Price is Right, since they've advanced to the second round, have gotten at least $75. This year, all the other playoff teams have won at least 30. So that is what's up there. If you'll bear with me for 1 second, I do have to go run and get that consolation belt since I did promise it. So I will bring that up again, and I will be right back with that. Since not all of you have got to see this beautiful belt, originally when we got the trophy we got a belt instead, but that didn't hold up very long. In fact, it fell apart within like the first couple weeks, so the company offered us either a refund or a replacement. We took the refund and got the trophy, which has turned out well, but at the time the person who won the consolation belt, or the 7th place, won a belt for themselves. So we did make one, and this is who whoever wins 7th place will get. It is a beautiful, beautiful belt that I made myself. So best of luck to all, and we'll be back next week for the fantasy honors and probably the all fantasy team. So thank you, and thank you for tuning in. Have a good day.